is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, a joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
Big baseball weekend coming up. Oregon facing USC, and weekend isn't exactly the most accurate descriptor because the series begins Thursday. Tomorrow, Oregon baseball, 7 o'clock start. The Ducks hosting the Trojans. This is a big game in terms of postseason standing. First, for the Big Ten standings. Next, for the NCAA regional standings. The RPI is an inexact science. It just is. Thank you, Scott. For those of you that can hear Scott in the background. But it's important still. We're going to break that down. It's a 7 o'clock start on Thursday at PK Park, 6 o'clock start on Friday, and then Saturday at 3 o'clock, Oregon baseball against USC. Big game. Pac-12 rivalry renewed in some ways. And Oregon's playing the best teams in the conference here down the stretch. We're going to talk to Colin Clark. We're going to talk to Berkeley Mabius. We're going to talk to Drew Smith. Colin Clark, a guy who pitched in the game that Oregon won at UCLA over the weekend. Berkeley Mabius has been behind the plate, a true Ironman for Oregon this season. And Drew Smith, one of the few seniors that has been a huge catalyst for this Oregon baseball program. Third baseman, veteran. We're going to talk with him coming up. And, of course, Mark Wazikowski, the Oregon baseball head coach. A lot to cover on today's edition of Duck Insider. Looking at that preview, though, I come back to the RPI. Just to give you an idea of what this means. Oregon just played a series at number 1 UCLA. Rubber match on Sunday. Ducks felt like they let one get away on Sunday. Ended up losing to USC 9-6. UCLA, I said USC. UCLA is still the number 1 team in the country. Well, USC is at number 8. But you know what's amazing about USC's resume right now? They have no what we consider quad 1 wins. Isn't that odd? Quad 1, they're 0-8. This is a quad 1 game on the road against Oregon. And USC has been excellent at home. They're 32-1, 41-12 overall, number 8 in the RPI. Sitting in a third place spot in the Big Ten Conference standings right now. But you know what USC is on the road? They're 32-1 at home. They're 9-11 on the road. 4-8 on the road in Big Ten play. 15-0 at home in Big Ten play. Now that's not a surprising metric. Oregon's 10-2 at home in Big Ten play, 8-7 on the road. The Ducks overall are number 20 in the RPI. Oregon is 21-4 at home and 13-9 on the road. USC's been a different team at home compared to on the road. And Oregon's looking to take care of some business here against the Trojans. And in the Big Ten standings, and with the Big Ten schedule ahead, things get a little bit dicey. Scott, if you could, go back to the Big Ten standings for those of you viewing real quick. UCLA is 26-1 in conference. They've won the regular season conference crown. Nebraska is 20-7. Now that's important because Oregon could catch Nebraska. If Oregon wins the series, maybe sweeps the series, Nebraska drops a game, and then the Ducks actually own the tiebreaker with Nebraska because they beat them earlier this year. USC's 19-8, Oregon 18-9, Purdue also 18-9, Michigan 17-10. Those are the teams you need to keep an eye on right now for the most part. Oregon could finish anywhere from the 2 seed to the 6 seed heading into the Big Ten tournament. You win the series against USC, I feel pretty good about it. There's some outlier scenarios where Purdue, Michigan could sweep and Nebraska wins one game and suddenly things get a little bit wonky. But the truth is that if Oregon wins this series against USC, I think the Ducks feel good about their postseason chances for the Big Ten tournament because remember, in the Big Ten tournament this year, the top 4 teams get byes all the way until Friday. Essentially, you're a quarterfinalist. The 5 through 12 seeds in the Big Ten, 13 through 17, don't make the tournament. The 5 through 12 seeds have to play a double elimination bracket Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday just to get to Friday. So you'd have to win 5 games, potentially. Maybe, I guess the way the tiebreakers work out, you could end up going, You're going to have to play 5 games, probably win 5 games to win the Big Ten tournament if you're not a top 4 seed. So that's important, to say the least. And the way that the Big Ten sets up this weekend, it could get a little interesting. Because Nebraska visits Minnesota, a Minnesota team that's actually been tough, particularly of late. Ohio State plays at Michigan. And then Purdue is at Iowa on the road. Those are not projected to be sweeps. So the way that this is setting up right now, if Oregon wins the series, if the Ducks take care of business, win the series, I feel good about where Oregon's going to be. Now, if you believe in predictive algorithms, how about this one? So the predicted finish, and I'm on Warren Nolan. They take into account a lot of different metrics and do some predictions. So here's what's going to make your head hurt this weekend. UCLA is predicted to finish 29-1. Nebraska predicted to finish 22-8, so they would win the series against Iowa. USC predicted to go 20-10. Michigan predicted to go 20-10. That would mean a sweep of Ohio State. And then Oregon predicted to go 20-10. We end up in a 3-way tie for 3rd place, and then we get to figure out what the 3-way tiebreaker looks like to see who the top 4 seeds are. Look, just win. We're going to be okay. Win Thursday, 7 o'clock. Worry about the rest later. Ryan and I were discussing how we could spend the entire broadcast on Thursday just doing scenario breakdowns because there are so many of them. So I'm not even going to go any further than win the series. I feel pretty good about Oregon being in the top 4. And I would ultimately feel pretty good about Oregon potentially hosting a regional. The top 16 teams in the NCAA baseball tournament host a regional. Oregon right now, again, inexact, but is number 20 in the RPI, with only games on the regular season schedule against the number 8 team in the RPI ahead. Oregon's RPI is going to climb up. So the Ducks are in the conversation to host a regional. The Ducks are also in the conversation to maybe be in good standing to win the Big Ten tournament. There's a lot on the line. There is a lot on the line this weekend. It's also senior weekend at PK Park. Drew Smith with some good updates on that coming up. I think you'll want to stick around. We'll talk to a number of student athletes, talk a lot of baseball today. Oregon softball still preparing for their regional. That's right. Their regional hosted at the Jane. Some Jane Sanity Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oregon hosting a regional again. Love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. We'll also give you some updates on Oregon women's golf. Oregon track and field postseason is approaching rapidly. And I do have some unfortunate updates for Oregon women's golf. Remember, the top 5 teams advance out of the regional. The Ducks were in the Waco regional. They were above the cut line today. But today, in round 3, the Ducks went 6 over. After they were even in round 1, 3 over in round 2, they went 6 over. In round 3, the Ducks are in the clubhouse. Every team is in the clubhouse. And Oregon is going to finish 2 shots above the cut line. So it looks like the season comes to a close for Oregon women's golf in the Waco Regional today. And Kiara Romero, the world's #1 amateur, she is tied for 3rd right now. She overall is 5 strokes back of the leader. We'll break more of it down. The scores, though, are just now going final if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Give you some more updates on Oregon women's golf. Timeout, though. Oregon baseball, huge series. Again, Thursday, USC, 7 o'clock. Friday, 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock on Saturday for Duck baseball. Senior weekend, a lot on the line, regular season finale. Doesn't get any better than this. We're going to let the Oregon baseball team tell you that, though, when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack getting you ready for Oregon baseball Thursday, Friday, Saturday at PK Park. Mark Wazakowski coming up. He had a good message to fans here for senior weekend. Colin Clark, though, one of the big bright spots for Oregon this year has been his competitiveness. Truly, the Saturdays that he's pitched, boy, you feel it when Colin Clark is on the mound. The competitive fire is off the charts. And the starter for the Ducks pitched on Saturday against UCLA. The team won that day. Huge. And he really set the tone, it felt like. Colin Clark breaking it down as he met with the media today.
Colin, just regular season finale, just the season you guys have had. Can you just zoom out for fans and just kind of take us through the season heading into regular season finale with a lot on the line, obviously?
Yeah, I think it's been an incredible season, and we've left a lot on the table, and I know we want to do a lot more in these last couple weeks and just carry this thing into postseason. So, yeah.
For you, you were part of the starting rotation last year, and there was a lot on the line going into the final regular season series last season. What can you take from that experience now coming into this season and a big series coming up against USC?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important to win this series so we can host a regional here. I think home field advantage would be pretty nice, especially in Eugene. So, yeah, I took a lot of experience from the older guys who pitched last year in postseason, and we're going to carry it through this year.
What has that transition been like for you when you were learning from a lot of the veterans in the staff last season, and now you are a veteran of the pitching staff this season? What has that transition been like for you from year to year?
I think it's been a process of learning a new role of being kind of more of a captain and trying to, I guess, be a role model for the freshmen and, I mean, for everyone on the team.
To that point, I'm curious, just now that you've spent almost a full year working with Coach Flo, just like take fans inside that process and getting familiar with a pitching coach, with Dan Straley as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a new face, and the guy is awesome. He's very positive, and he gives plenty of different looks and different ideas. And the addition of Dan has been awesome. His experiences he shares almost daily, so a lot to learn from the both of them.
Flashing back to this last weekend against UCLA, you got touched up a little bit in the first inning, but then a really resilient outing from you for the rest of your outing. Just take me through that entire outing, and from the second inning on, that resilience to flush the first and put on a pretty good performance.
I think it's just playing the chess match with the opponent. I think they had a good plan of attack in the first, and then moving on, we had to do something to change our plan. And yeah, I think it was just a competitive game, which, I mean, I love.
To that point, Ryan and I are on the same line of thinking, like just adjusting throughout a game as a starter. Like, how much have you grown in that capacity to be able to make those in-game adjustments and give your start some length?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year when I would get touched up a little bit, I wouldn't make that adjustment, or I would make it and it'd be a minor thing versus I mean, taking in the whole outing, you can switch up pretty decently. So,
just what was your biggest takeaway after the entire UCLA series? Now that you had a chance to kind of come back and just reflect on it.
Yeah, I think we weren't prepared on Friday, and we have to get out and really go after it on Friday, just like we did the second two games. And I mean, that's the number one team in the country, and we stuck right with them. So,
how does it adjust when you're sliding a series up? Just take fans through the process of preparation when the series slides up a day like it does.
Yeah, for starters, it would be moving up a day. So, going through that is you start on the week before kinda, and you work the whole week. And I think for relievers, it's going to be pretty solid. We got all hands on deck. So
you mentioned Friday, where it looked like the team didn't come out with the same competitive fire on Saturday that they did on Saturday and Sunday. It felt like you kind of set the tone on Saturday for that competitive fire for the rest of the team. Do you take a lot of pride in being that type of competitive anchor and bringing that energy to the rest of your team?
I do, but I think everyone on the team has that competitive edge, and I just think on Friday we weren't there, versus I think every single person on the team was there Saturday and Sunday.
Now that you've gotten the chance to kind of reflect on the last series, looking ahead to USC, taking a look at their lineup, just what makes them also one of the top teams in the country?
Yeah, I haven't dove too much into them, but I know they got a good pitching staff and good ace on the mound. So yeah, I'm excited for our offense to get after it.
Just as someone that is a pitcher as well, do you almost get excited when you know that you're also going to face a really talented pitching staff? Like you guys as a pitching staff as a whole, when you know you're up against someone else, like just being out there competing, just defensively, like what is that like?
Right. I think we consider it pitching as more of an offense, and we're trying to pitch offensively versus defensively. But I think going into it, knowing that the other pitchers on the squad or on their squad are going to be tough, and it's going to be just a competitive ball game. So,
talk about the competitive edge, Colin. I mean, like, we've talked before about just the way that you compete. How do you find that balance, both on the field, off the field, with that competitive fire that you clearly have when you pitch?
Right. I think you practice how you play. So. Often in practice, I'm the same guys I would be on the mound, and when I'm off the field, I'm a totally different person. So I guess just locking into that mentality is.
You talk about pitching offensively. Just detail what that means for fans. What does it mean to pitch offensively?
Getting ahead of guys for sure, and dominating hitters, winning in 3 pitches or less. Yeah, I mean, just not pitching defensively. Yeah, is the best way to put it.
How about that mentality? It's a little like a football defense where you want to go get the ball, right? You want to take the ball away. You're calling a defense. You're defending a pass. You're defending a run. But you still want to be the aggressor. I kind of love that. Every pitcher talks about working ahead. How important that first pitch strike is. How critical the 1-1 pitch is to turn a count in a hitter's favor or a pitcher's favor. And Colin Clark saying, we want to pitch with that sort of aggression, that sort of offensive mentality. It seems to work. Berkeley Mabius behind the plate, often receiving those pitches. And he's been a real warrior for the Ducks this year, like every catcher often is. Berkeley Mabius previewing Oregon USC Thursday through Saturday this weekend.
Does anything change when you move up to the 3-hole? Does that change your approach much at all? Just tell fans about that process.
No, not really. 1 through 9, our offense is really productive. And I think you can replace the 3-hole with all 9 of our hitters. So just trying to keep the same mentality, and not put too much pressure on myself on a new position in the lineup or anything like that. Just playing my game.
Just what do you take away from this past weekend and into the final weekend of the regular season?
Yeah, I think, I think this last weekend we let a game slip. As a team, we're pretty frustrated about that. My main takeaways is that, obviously we're a really good team and we expect to win games like that, regardless of them being the number 1 team or whatever it is. We expect to come out of each weekend as winners, and we're taking that same mentality into this weekend, and hopefully carrying some good momentum into playoffs.
That game on Saturday when the team falls down 4-0 early, just what type of tenacity was required from the group in order to battle back throughout the entire game to walk away with a win on Saturday?
Yeah, it took staying with each inning as an inning on an inning basis. We're not playing 9 innings. We're trying to play each pitch individually, each inning individually, and staying with it. And obviously not getting too caught up on the score. I think we went down 4-0, and you turn the page next inning and just trying to hope to win the second, and continue that momentum throughout the rest of the game. We have some players come up big. Jack Brooks with a big hit later on in that game, but even before that, just grinding away at bats, trying to get guys on any way possible. So moments like that are possible for guys like Jack. And I think that was just a good representation of the team we are. We share a lot of, we have a team identity of gritty baseball, never giving in, not playing to the score, and that was just a good example of it.
You touched on Jack, and I was curious, how fun was that game, Berkeley? Because you mentioned it's kind of an identity trait for you guys. How fun was that on Saturday?
Man, that was a blast. Honestly, all weekend was a blast. Playing good baseball is fun. We talk about the most fun baseball is the hardest baseball at times. The come from behind wins, or you get punched early in the first inning and you really got to work for a win. That's the most fun baseball. It was just so much fun. You want to play games like that every weekend. And so, probably for the rest of the year, we're looking at games that are going to be like that. And so what a position we're in to take advantage of that. We're excited for it.
You mentioned the position the team was in last season, having to a regular season finale where there was a lot on the line. Just what did you learn from last season going through the stretch run of the regular season that you can now take into this stretch run?
Yeah, I think, one thing that I take away from last season was, having a regional at home is awesome. And kind of keeping that in mind with one more series left, we're in the position where that could be a possibility. And taking that experience and reflecting on it is some good motivation factors for this weekend. Making sure we're taking care of business so we can be in a similar position like that again. Hosting a regional is awesome. I think that's the goal for the whole team. So, just keeping that in mind for this weekend, and even in the Big Ten tournament, we've got goals that I think we know we're all capable of doing. And so just, staying with the process of it these next few weekends and hopes to make that achievable for us is the goal. So
Miles last week was just talking about how a guy like Drew Smith, who's sitting back there, when he gives him the ball, there's kind of that level of confidence that comes when he's on the mound. I'm curious for your perspective as a catcher, How do you gauge when to go out and talk to your pitcher? And how do you gauge what to say to each guy? I know each guy's a little bit different. Just what's that experience been like as you've grown and gotten to know these guys more and more behind the plate?
Yeah, I think you said it. Ultimately, it takes getting to know these guys, working with them in practice, building relationships with them on and off the field, working hard and trying to lead by example so that when it is my time to come talk to these guys in game, they hopefully can trust me and know that I'm there for their best interest. I know them. I know what makes them click, stuff like that. But ultimately, you're just trying to read the situation of the game. Maybe a pitcher gets sped up, in tough situations, or, you're just trying to slow some momentum from the team down. Those are all factors that come into play when I decide to take a mound visit. And all of our pitchers are great. They're all very humble and willing to listen to me and any of the infielders that come and talk to them. There's not a sense of pride that gets in the way from us communicating with each other. And so hats off to the pitching staff for being that way.
Catcher is probably the primary position in baseball that takes a beating the most. Just can you count how many foul tips you've caught over the course of the season? And then how do you keep your body fresh at this point of the year when you have gone through a long season to be fresh now in the stretch run of the year?
To answer that first part, no, I cannot count how many foul balls I've taken to the legs or whatever it is. It seems to happen a couple times every game. So, going back to our team identity, we take a lot of pride in how we are in the weight room. Daryl's great. Waz emphasized it. He's in there killing it with us. And once we all get in there, we're just killing it, working hard, making sure that our bodies are staying strong. And, that plays a big role in making sure when it comes down to this part of the season, we're ready to go. Our body's not, deteriorating or anything. We're losing strength. So, I credit a lot to the weight room. But at the same time, we've got great practice plans that are getting us our work while not overdoing it. We're smart off the field with recovery stuff, and a lot comes into play. But ultimately, it comes to having a routine and sticking to it, and the weight room for sure plays a big part in that.
Similarly, to have a little bit of fun, does a catcher appreciate anything more than an umpire that goes and cleans off a home plate, even on a turf field, after you maybe get clipped by one?
No, it's great. I mean, sometimes you'll get an umpire that, you'll get hit and he's like, "You good? All right, play ball." And it's like, "Oh crap, dude, like just give me a second to get a breather." But, umpires do a good job. Give me a second. It's definitely refreshing. So
just previewing this weekend against USC, when you're going up against a really talented pitching staff, just what's required from an offense across the board in order to be up for the challenge of a stout pitching performance you're going to see on the other side?
Yeah, it's similar to this last weekend that we just faced. It's going to be a lot of good arms. We've got a good starting rotation, but ultimately it's going to come down to us, sticking to a plan, having a plan and sticking to it, just playing to our plan. I think that's the big thing. I just want to emphasize that it's more so about how we play and not about what's on the other side of it. Sticking together as a team, playing each inning as an individual basis, not playing the score, things like that. Just sticking to who we are as a team is what's going to give us success this weekend. Obviously with good pitchers on the mound, we're going to want to work good counts, taking advantage of leverage counts, not chasing out of the zone, stuff like that.
That's Berkeley Mabius, the Oregon catcher. I had to ask him about umpires that'll go and, dust off the plate when it's a turf field. I appreciate an umpire that does that. So I really like Berkeley's answer to that, and a lot of good takeaways from the Oregon catcher. When we come back, a senior celebrating senior weekend. Drew Smith, keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio previewing Oregon baseball against USC. 7 o'clock on Thursday, 6 o'clock on Friday, 3 o'clock on Saturday. 3-game series. The final regular season series for Oregon baseball. They're in the hunt for hosting a regional, in the hunt for a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and it's senior weekend for a guy like Drew Smith. A lot of good takeaways from our conversation with Drew Smith just a little while ago if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour here on a Wednesday. Good stuff from the veteran Drew Smith.
Drew, just take me into this past weekend. The overall thoughts on the weekend, but specifically that win on Saturday and what it took from the team in order to grind out a victory on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we definitely found an identity this weekend. Just being a really gritty group. I know we didn't perform how we wanted to on Friday, and we kind of made a choice as a team to just kind of put that behind us and play the way we wanted to, and I think you saw that in the last 2 days.
To that point, is there some magic in baseball sometimes, Drew, that it's like you got to get up and go? I know it was a night game the next day, but you still got to play the next day.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely an up and down game, so just kind of hanging with it, and you're not going to play your best every single day, but you can learn from everything that you do. So I think that's something that the team did this weekend. Coach and staff helped out with that too. So I think there's definitely things to build on, but we did a lot of great things this last weekend.
Jack Brooks came out of the weekend, and he had stellar games both on Saturday and Sunday. Just take me into the work of Jack, and then for the entire team in those late innings, both in the 7th and the 8th on Saturday, to see him come up big and not 1 but 2 of those innings to really help the team.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me whenever he does stuff like that in the game because I see it in his work every single day. Last week basically the whole thing we talked about during practice was just competing our asses off. So we know we didn't do that on Friday, but we definitely made a choice on Saturday and Sunday. And I think Jack was a perfect example of what it looked like and the standard of how we want to play. I think he did a great job with that.
Miles was in here last week, and he was talking about how you are often like a calming presence for him from third base to a pitcher and just being welcome to the team. I was curious just your perspective and how now as a veteran you go about that with a pitching staff. Like, how do you gauge what to say to those guys in any given moment?
Yeah, each guy's different, and it's partly my job to know like how each guy responds to what kind of, whether it's criticism or building them up, whatever the case is. So, I'm going to talk to Will Sanford differently than I talk to Cal Scolari. So I think it's definitely my job to understand how those guys perform and what gets them to their best, and then utilizing that whenever I talk to them in between innings or whatever the case is in order to get them at their best.
Along those same lines, there was a moment this weekend where Burke went out for a mound visit and you joined him. Just what empowered you to be that infielder that goes and joins what is normally just a pitcher-catcher conversation? Just throughout the course of the entire year, we've seen you do that. So why do it? What empowered you to do that? Was that a coaching thing? Was that a personal decision?
That specific instance that you're talking about, I think Burke asked me to come over, so I came over in that spot. But, I enjoy talking to those guys because I think they can feel my calmness whenever I'm in the game. I think I have a lot of experience, and I think that's something that I can pass to those guys that may not have as much. So I think I'm definitely like a pillar to lean on in that sense.
Actually, similar line of thinking, like your calmness and competitiveness, just how have you balanced that throughout your career now as a veteran? Maybe a better way to ask the question is how different are you now than maybe 18-year-old Drew Smith?
Yeah, that is a good question. 18-year-old me was just, oh goodness. It's kind of hard to think back that far. It's 4 years now. So, that guy was definitely just grateful to be on the field with all the guys that I was around, like Tanner Smith or Drew Cowley or Gavin Grant. But now I'm in their shoes, and I have a different role, and it's a role that I've come to really like and enjoy. And yeah.
You've been now in this program for 4 years. Just what have you learned from the stretch run of the previous 3 seasons, and what can you utilize from those to take into this final week of the regular season and then postseason play moving forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons that you learn every single season. It's on you and the team to basically just use those lessons to get yourself to the best ability whenever the time when it matters the most, and that's what the time that we're getting to right now, which is postseason. So, there hasn't been a postseason that I haven't been a part of, and I think that's something that I can pass on to guys that haven't been in that spot, whether it's Braden or Angel, and taking those guys under my wing in a sense in big spots and pressure situations to help calm them down maybe, or whatever the case is. But I definitely am a person that some of the younger guys would look up to see how I'm acting. If I'm not acting the right way, they might not act the right way as well.
You mentioned Gavin. I was curious. Just tell fans a little bit about how much you've seen him grow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Gavin as a player, now working in the coaching realm. And how much have you seen Gavin grow?
A ton. My freshman year, he was the smartest player on the field at all times, it seemed like, and I feel like that hasn't really changed now that he's coaching. And every time we get to first base, he's going through different situations and different things that are probably going to happen, different plays to be thinking of ahead of time, just so that I'm not surprised whenever it happens or whatever the case is. So I think his presence on the field is very valuable, especially since he was in our same shoes. So, and he's not too far separated from it. It's only been a couple years since he played, so he still knows what it feels like pretty close, if that makes sense. So,
Sort of along that same lines, you said you saw Gavin as like the smartest player on the field. Is there somebody now on this year's team that you would say you think of as that might be the smartest player on the field at all times?
Oh, goodness. I'd say probably Ryan. He's pretty ahead of it. I think our whole infield's honestly pretty ahead of it at all times. I think that's a staple in our program, especially in the fall. Whenever we're doing our scrimmages or whatever the case is, it's like calling out plays or just being ahead of the pitch, so that whenever you're on defense, you're ready for it, and you're playing offense. You just have a glove on, so attacking their offense and being ahead of it, it'll put them in a spot where they're not as comfortable to maybe try and put on a play that they would want to in that spot.
Talking about defense, I know what Wazid said after the Friday game, it wasn't the performance that you guys wanted, but then to your point earlier, you flushed it, and the defense has been such a strength for you guys all year, particularly in the infield. Just what do you attribute that to, Drew? I mean, it's a lot of hard work, right, that goes in, especially on the left side, and then Ryan up the middle. Just how big's the defense been this year?
It's very important. Defense and pitching is what wins you championships, and I think a lot of the experience on that infield, especially, whether it's Dom playing there or Junior or Gabe playing first base or Braden, whatever the case is, I think having us three, me, Maddox, and Ryan out there definitely just calms it down for whoever's out there at first base. And I think without that infield, the train doesn't move. So I definitely think it's a heartbeat of the team, and being a part of it is very special, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility.
I'm going to go down memory lane a little bit with you if I can. I mean, has it sunk in? Have it started to sink in just senior year at PK Park? Have you let your mind go there yet?
Yeah, I thought about it yesterday. I was doing early work on the field yesterday, and I was like, man, I only got one more week of this place possibly. So just trying to soak it in as much as I can, enjoy every moment. So.
And if I could, similar question to what I asked you before. What would 18-year-old Drew Smith think of you today? And then what piece of advice would you give 18-year-old Drew Smith if you could?
18-year-old Drew Smith would probably think that guy's a stud. But some advice I would probably give my younger self, that's a good question. Just enjoy every second of it because it goes by so fast.
Isn't it amazing how often we hear that from a senior, like when I asked that question? I love, by the way, that was me laughing in the background when Drew was like, wow, 18-year-old Drew would be like, that guy's a stud. Bravo, Drew! He's had a heck of a career, Drew Smith has, and I hope he gets a great shot at the next level. First, though, some business to take care of in postseason around PK Park. When we come back on that note, Mark Wasikowski, the Oregon head coach on the Oregon Sports Network.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Duck baseball prepping for USC. Series starts Thursday, 7 o'clock, the start time. 6:45 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. 6 o'clock on Friday, then 3 o'clock on Saturday. The Ducks facing the Trojans. Oregon is number 20 in the RPI. USC number 8 in the RPI. Huge postseason ramifications. Coming off a road trip to Los Angeles, playing the other team from LA and UCLA. Mark Wasikowski breaking it down. He met with the media today.
Just after looking at the tape watch, can you just review the weekend for fans, what you took away from that series at UCLA?
A lot to take away. Yeah, there was a lot to take away. I think on the most positive side of the takeaway is the fact that our team's coming out of a weekend knowing they can beat anybody. Despite the fact that maybe we had told them that the entire year, because that was our belief. I think they now see it clearly that from a player's lens that they can do it. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And so probably that's the biggest takeaway.
Along that same line of thinking, just how important are series like those throughout the course of the season? You mentioned throughout the year that this is a young team that's still learning. How does that experience getting put on the field, how does that help a player or a team moving forward that they put it on the field that they can compete with anybody? How does it help mentally going into postseason play?
I think every team's going to respond differently. I think the Sunday response to what occurred Saturday was really good. I think that the level of competition and how they went about their business was just, going to be a really successful way of doing it. We've played other good teams this year, but nobody as good as what we saw at UCLA. They were really, really good. And when, and I didn't need to tell the guys that because they saw it with their own eyes and they felt it, 1 through 9 in the batting order and then every arm that they roll out there, right? And so it wasn't like there were weaknesses where you could really say, oh boy, those 2 guys in that order were, not quite great or something like that. I mean, it's a stacked it's a stacked group right there, and your team, when they see it, they know it and they can feel it, and when they also see that they can beat a team like that, we're hopeful that type of thought in the locker room helps really ignite these guys and get them on a hot stretch here at the most important time of the year.
You talk about the most important time of the year. It's nice to be in this position, isn't it? And for fans coming out to PK Park for a regular season finale, what's your message maybe to them as you head here down the home stretch, hoping to host a regional?
Do what you can to be a difference at PK Park, right? That's what that you see it at Autzen Stadium, and you see teams come into Autzen Stadium and the fans just dominate them, right? I mean, there's a good football team that's playing against an opposing team at Autzen Stadium, Coach Lanning's team, but yet the fans take it into their own hands, right? They make sure that there's false starts or whatever the penalties are, and they make a difference in the game. And you can really tell from an energy standpoint that the fans at Autzen Stadium make it really hard for the opponent. And so, that's the best thing that they can do at PK Park. And, oddly, like in football, the difference, I guess, between the two would be, for me, it would be like, well, when you're going through a timeout at Autzen Stadium, sure, there's usually some things going on in the end zone, and they're announcing the championship track team or the championship baseball team or whatever it is in the end zone. They do those things, but it's largely kind of quiet. But in baseball, those timeouts are really the time that you can really intimidate an opposing team, and those need to be some of the loudest times. And so actually during the timeouts would be a point of emphasis for fans. Like, that's actually the time to really rise up and get on somebody. A pitching coach goes to the mound, that type of stuff. That's when you can really make a difference in the outcome of a game and affecting maybe the visiting team's mentality.
After talking to the players, they seemed pretty disappointed the way that they came out on Friday, and we're proud of the way they fought back on Saturday. A lot of takeaways after this weekend. Just how important will it be to come out strong on Thursday?
Really important. There's a lot on the line. The guys know it. There's no secrets. So it's best effort, right? And, I know that on, my message to the team on Friday was, this doesn't hurt you. I don't have any idea what to say to you. I have no relationship whatsoever, apparently, if this doesn't really, really hurt you, because of just how that went. And it obviously did. And I obviously do have a relationship with them because they showed up on Saturday. And it was a totally different team that I coached, and people saw it. And it was a totally different team that I coached on Sunday, and people saw it. And they felt it. That was the most important thing. And so how important is it? I think everything at this point in time in the season is now magnified. And I think everything is important. And that's because you're having a good year. And if you're not magnified right now, that probably means that you're getting ready for summer baseball. And that's a really bad situation. I've never been in that here at the University of Oregon. I don't ever plan on being in there.
It felt like nobody really embodied that difference from Game 1 to Game 2 of the series more than Jack Brooks. I mean, he had a tremendous game in Game 2, and both the 7th and 8th helped you manufacture tying and go-ahead runs, and then made some strong defensive plays both Saturday and Sunday. Just for him throughout the course of the series, what have you seen from his work that allowed for him to step up in the back end of that series and help lead your team to a victory on Saturday?
Well, Jack's work's been tremendous the whole time. It hasn't been like, hey, last week you worked hard and so all of a sudden it showed up. Jack's work has allowed him to be successful a lot earlier than last weekend, and Jack's been in Jack's own way for that to happen, to be honest with you. Once he kind of got out of his own way, he's put in the work. He's maybe pound for pound the strongest player that we have. Tremendous kid. But yet young players, they kind of do get in their way sometimes of their own success, and they kind of sabotage themselves with negative thought, not allowing themselves to become as confident as others think that they should be. And you just don't know in a player development game how quickly guys are going to get to that point to where they stop getting in their own way and they really start getting behind themselves at a level that you saw Jack this last weekend. I hope he can continue it. Obviously, it was a good weekend, nice moments against currently the number one team in the country. And so for Jack, he did it against them. That should give him a lot of confidence to be able to do it against anybody.
We know that this USC pitching staff is really talented. Just what will your lineup have to do in order to find success throughout this week?
Gritty at-bats, swing at their pitch, not his pitch. Break them down with pressure on the defense, and get in the bullpen, get in the bullpen and really stretch out the pitcher's pitch count, the starting pitcher's pitch counts. They have 3 really good starters, and to be able to stretch those guys out to where we can get them out of the game as early as we can. They're really effective. They've got good secondary pitches. They command them, the whole deal. And then getting in the bullpen is going to be really important. And then, to be honest with you, just the impact of PK Park. What's that going to do for an opposing team? You saw, the last time USC really, really struggled, they got swept at Nebraska, and it was because the Nebraska fans were A++. And so I guess there's your challenge, PK Park fans, like, University of Oregon baseball fans. Are you better than Nebraska fans? And so Nebraska fans are really, really good. And so they were able to have a real positive effect for their team in that series in Lincoln. And that should be one of the objectives of our fans this weekend.
Just looking ahead at this weekend, I know you don't necessarily get to choose what the schedule looks like, but facing UCLA last weekend, USC to end the season, 2 top teams in the country. How do you feel like these next 2 series could really help propel the team? You talked about belief, just believing that they are one of the top teams in the country heading into the postseason.
It just feels like we're back in the pack, right? It feels like we're back in the Pac-10 or Pac-12, when you were playing USC, UCLA, Arizona State, Stanford. I mean, it was, ridiculous every single weekend. And so that's what it feels like, and so actually it probably feels really normal because of just my history and where I've worked, I guess. What impact does it have on the team? I don't know, just playing against good people. It's good baseball, and that's what you show up for. If you're not showing up to play in big games and against good teams and stuff like that, I just don't think that you would fit in at the University of Oregon. I mean, this place is excellent, and only excellent athletes that have the highest standards can survive here because of those standards. And it's cross-sport. It's not just baseball. It's the other sports everywhere here. And so with that sort of a culture institutionally here, I think that the athletes that we get really embrace those challenges. And I think when they do well in games like they did last weekend, it should give them confidence moving forward for the next games that we have.
Talking about some of those outstanding athletes, senior weekend, some special moments for families-wise. I know baseball is a little unique with the junior year as the draft year, but still nonetheless a senior class that you get to celebrate a little bit this weekend. What's this class meant to you? What's it done for the program?
I haven't, probably my fault. I haven't really gone back and gotten into what the senior class has meant and all that kind of stuff that's really emotional and stuff. I want to celebrate with the families. I'm a dad, right? I mean, family first. And so for me, I think you get a chance to be able to see your son earn a college degree. That's a big deal. On top of that, the experience of playing athletically and being able to do those 2 full-time jobs for your time in college, I think is something that every employer out there probably is seeking to hire people like Oregon baseball players or college athletes that have had the experience of 2 jobs, full-time jobs during their college career. I think that says a lot for the student athletes. And for the baseball players, I want their families to celebrate that. And I really want to honor those families. I'll probably get to thinking about all the impact of all those. I know this much. I know that since I've been the coach at this institution, I mean, we haven't missed postseason play. And so guess what that senior class can say? They've never not been in a regional/super regional. And yes, the goal is to get to the College World Series and win that thing. We haven't done that yet. And so there's some things that they've done tremendously well. The kids have been here for 4 years. They've won multiple conference championships. They've been to postseason play every single year. We're one of only 10 teams in the entire country over the last 5 years that have been to postseason play every single year, with 2 of those at least being super regionals. And so what have they done on the field is part of it. What they've done off the field has really been spectacular because our team GPA's never been higher. Our graduation rates have been tremendous.
A lot of good things from Mark Wazikowski. Getting ready for USC. Final segment when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs, and for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to myself.
We're wrapping up Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Heard from Colin Clark today. Heard from Berkeley Mabius, Drew Smith, Mark Wazakowski, getting ready for Oregon baseball against USC. It is a huge, huge series for the Ducks. Not just because it's senior weekend and regular season finale, but could be the last weekend at PK Park, unless things fall the way that we hope, which is a few wins, maybe a couple wins in the Big Ten tournament, maybe 3 wins in the Big Ten tournament. And then Oregon baseball may very well be back at PK Park hosting a regional. But there's a lot on the line in terms of postseason resume, Big Ten standings, and I hope to see a lot of people at PK Park. USC, not the same team on the road that they are at home. A lot of teams are that way, but it's striking for USC. They've won 41 games. They've only lost 1 at home. It's when they've gone away from Los Angeles, they have not been as good of a club. They're 9-11. Meanwhile, Oregon 21-4 at home, trying to make it 24. We'll preview Oregon softball's regional tomorrow. Get you ready for Duck baseball. A lot going on. Good time of year. See ya.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side.